Welcome to the Hoopologist podcast. My name is Saif Basaria.
And I'm Asad Lalani.
And listener, if you're watching us, you can tell we're in the same room and it's just the two of us. Kay's unfortunately is dealing with some family. Not unfortunately, it's fine. It's like family stuff. He's fine. He's fine. And Shaban also happens to be dealing with family things. So for this episode, listener, you get myself, you get Asad, and that's it. But we are only previewing two teams. It's the NBA Finals. If you live under a rock, the Boston Celtics will be playing the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals this year. And I hate it. I hate it because I hate the Celtics, and I hate it because I think of the teams we had left, this was going to be the most entertaining two teams in the finals, no matter I hate the Celtics or not. They're a good basketball team, and besides many games against the Miami Heat, they are actually quite fun to watch. So what do you think, man? Are you excited for this one?
Yeah, I agree. Definitely between Boston and Miami, the team that would be more fun to watch the Warriors play against is definitely Boston. So I think it's going to be a great series. We'll get into the depth of the series and where we're going, and the X factors and all of that. But overall, I'm excited. It's the best case scenario from what we had left. Golden State obviously is a highlight reel team. They're so fun to watch. They move fast. They play fast. And Boston has been terrific and really turned it on in the second half of the season. And now in this playoff run, defeating some really, really good teams. So it's going to be a tremendous finals.
So, obviously, something we have every year is, for whatever reason, some fan base feels this is unfair or unjust that their team did not make it. What fan base or what team is sitting at home right now going, this was ours, man. We feel like we fucking missed out.
First comes to mind is Milwaukee.
That's exactly. I'm 100% in lock with you.
Yeah.
Milwaukee. This is Milwaukee. They should have been here.
Yeah, with a healthy Chris Middleton, that series could have been completely different, and what could have happened. And the fact that Milwaukee even took that to 7 without their second best player goes to show how talented of a team they were and how much upside and they had coming into this playoffs, coming off a tremendous finals run last year. So would have been different. A Giannis versus Steph Curry, two of the NBA's poster children, along with LeBron James. On the front stage, but injuries are the name of the game. And unfortunately for Milwaukee, they couldn't get over the hump, and it's Boston's time. They took advantage of the situation and now they're here, and it's now their time on the national stage.
I mean, look, for what it's worth, yes, Milwaukee probably should feel hard done by, not for any other reason than, the health of Chris Middleton got in the way. And if they would have been healthy, I think that the series would have gone differently. I think it would have been still a good series. It would have been a fun series, and Boston is still a fantastic basketball team and could have still won it. But I'm sure Milwaukee and their fans are probably thinking they likely wouldn't have missed out on the finals this year. Should Phoenix feel some type of way?
Yeah, they should. They were so dominant all year. I remember watching them in the regular season, and even early on in the playoffs, everything was so crisp. I remember multiple regular season games just watching them on both ends, offensively, defensively. Every possession, every pass was on point. Their motions, their offense, everything was in sync. Coaching staff was obviously great. So they were the number one team in the league for a reason. They were fucking good at basketball, and watching them just implode and watching Luka just shit on them in game 7 is sad. And Chris Paul and Devin Booker, you should feel shitty about yourselves because you should not have lost that game.
It's rare that I would have any sympathy for the Phoenix Suns. I still don't. It's your fucking fault you're not here. There's no injury or rhyme or reason that Milwaukee can go, oh, we didn't have our second best player. We didn't have an all-star in Chris Middleton, and therefore we were not as good. Phoenix had everybody. They were fine, relatively healthy. Look, the playoffs have been very unhealthy across the board. There is no team that hasn't had an injury or two or multiple that have adjusted basically their fate. So Phoenix, you were as healthy as it's going to get, and you're not here, and you should have been. You were the best team in the NBA by far this year. So unfortunately, Phoenix, you probably don't feel great, but I don't think it's anyone else but to blame yourself. Milwaukee, I do feel for. Milwaukee should probably have a harder shout. Let's go back and talk about the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals, but only briefly because we're going to talk about the NBA Finals. That's what we want to do. But I do want to look at most recently, we just finished a game 7 where the Miami Heat did end up losing to the Boston Celtics in what we thought was a runaway game. And it was a 13-point lead. Boston was up mostly, I would say, quite big, double digits for 70% of that basketball game. Yeah. I mean, a large majority of that basketball game, listener. And then 30 seconds left. This is a 1-possession game at a point here.
Just a complete meltdown. Boston was in cruise control and they almost fumbled the bag so hard that what we could be talking about today would have been one of the most historical
collapses,
breakdowns
absolutely, yeah.
in playoff history. And they got lucky that Jimmy Butler decided to have poor shot selection and played hero ball and took the three. But had he drove in, taken a mid-range shot, attacked Al Horford. So listener, if you didn't get a chance to watch the play, about 30 seconds left.
11.6 seconds, I said. 11.6 seconds left.
Yeah. So Jimmy Butler. Yeah, Jimmy Butler. Miami has the ball in transition. It's just Jimmy Butler going head to head against Al Horford. Al Horford is backing away. He's about 8 feet off of him, kind of playing in the paint. Jimmy Butler decides in transition to pull up for a three. And this is Jimmy Butler we're talking about, the man who shot 8% from three at one point in the regular season, but then turned into like prime Kevin Durant in the playoffs. But that's what Jimmy does.
Kevin did miss a clutch three last year as well. So
yeah, maybe, I guess. But Jimmy decides to take the three with 11 seconds left instead of attacking Al Horford, drawing a foul, taking a better shot that I think Jimmy Butler was more likely to make. But unfortunately, he misses the shot. Celtics get the rebound, they foul, and then the game
is over. Yeah. I do wonder if Jimmy doesn't play 48 minutes last night, if he plays 44 minutes, does he not take that three? Do you think fatigue played a role in him pulling up for that three? He just wanted to be the hero.
No, he wanted to be the hero. He saw the opportunity. He saw that Al Horford was backing off of him. He knew the time, and he was like, I'm hot. I'm feeling it. I'm going to go for the kill shot. Unfortunately, he just missed.
Yeah, I mean, look, listener, for what it's worth, if he makes that shot, we're all praising Jimmy Butler right now, saying, oh, that's the ballsiest guy in the basketball, which he obviously is. And then we're like, all right, fuck it. Jimmy Butler's awesome. They're in the finals. It doesn't matter. That was a good shot because he made it. But because he missed, it's a bad shot. History is revised for that exact reason. But I have to say, that series was one of the worst basketball series I think we've ever watched. I mean, I can't say like literally ever, because I'm not going to sit here and just like think about all the bad series we've watched, but that was a bad basketball series. It was not fun. We had one good game in that series. All the other games were like 20, 30 point blowouts, at least at some point in the game. That wasn't a fun basketball series. I did not enjoy watching that series.
Yeah. I think what it was, though, is because both teams were so good defensively, they made really good adjustments and clamped down on each other in different games. Like, they revised their game. When Miami took like a big loss, came back next game. Spoelstra, one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the game, in my opinion, very good at making adjustments, especially defensively, and knew how to slow Boston down. And then it turns over to Ime Udoka and his staff. And then they made the right adjustments and they clamped down on Miami. And it was just kind of a back and forth defensive affair. And because we're so used to these offensive teams just scoring at will and scoring really, really well, that's the fun, fast-paced basketball that we're accustomed to. And this one was more slower, methodical, very high defense, which I think has taken away from the excitement, and then hence some of these blowouts. And that's why we thought it was a shitty series.
I think I agree with you. The defense was definitely a factor. I think the other thing that was a big factor was fatigue. Yeah. They played every other day for the entire series, injury or not. Marcus Smart almost broke basically his entire fucking leg off, right? Tatum was coming in hurt.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown's hurt. Al Horford is old as crap. So, I mean, look, he's not getting any rest between games. And then flipping to the other side, Jimmy's playing 40 minutes a night. Bam is also playing a ton of basketball. I mean, Kyle Lowry basically missed, 2 games of the series as well.
Yeah,
it's like both teams came in limping, basically.
No Tyler Hero for many of these
3 games.
Yeah.
2 games or 3 games. So yeah, no, both teams came in already broken, as the playoffs do, and then they played every other day. I don't remember the Eastern Conference Finals going every other day normally. Do you remember this being normal?
Typically, I feel like there was at least like a 3-day break in between for teams to travel.
That's what I thought.
Which is what the NBA Finals is there's plenty of rest for the NBA Finals. The only 2-day is in Boston, where Boston will host game 3 and game 4 of the series. But other than that, there's 3 games. There's 3 days between every game, and they play a lot of minutes. It's also the playoffs. It's an equal playing field for everyone. Yeah, it sucked, and I think it definitely did contribute to the blowouts,
the entertainment of the product. Yeah, the product was definitely diminished because both teams were broken and exhausted. There's no time to recover.
Yeah, which is what crazy to me is the fact that Adam Silver, they want to add in like another in-season tournament and add more games to an already chaotic season, which I think the NBA season should be a little bit less. I think there's a lot of games and they're too quick. And the fact that now they want to add in an in-season tournament and condense even the window even more is going to be tough, but we'll see if and when that happens.
No, I agree. The NBA in-season tournament is only going to work if the NBA consolidates, right? It's not going to be an 82 game season. We're talking 72 games, 70 games. But then you have to convince owners that, hey, you're going to lose money for these. You're going to lose these 10 games of income, which obviously takes away from the whole thing. I don't see a world in which the owners are like, yes, we're down to make less money. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, no way.
So I mean, look, that's a whole conversation in itself. We'll keep that for the offseason because we're gonna have plenty to talk about in the offseason. But yeah, jumping over the West Coast, the Warriors beat the Dallas Mavericks in what, five games?
5 games.
And honestly, it wasn't close. Those games I will say were more entertaining simply because they were closer, they were more fun to watch. But it definitely felt like whenever the Warriors wanted to take things over, they did.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how that series kind of went. Dallas kept it close for maybe a half, maybe 3/4, maybe 3.5. And then the Splash Brothers and the defense and Kevon Looney decided to be really good at basketball. They took over the series, and basically every game they won, it was very hard to argue that Dallas should have instead won that game.
Yeah, agreed. Dallas tried their best given the personnel that they had.
Yeah.
But the lack of experience, the lack of, I think, help that Luka had, the size definitely interiorly mattered because Kevon Looney looked like Shaq down there.
Ridiculous. You know, funny enough, listener, you're familiar with Shaban, obviously a Dallas Mavericks fan, and I'm sure he would love to be here to shit on his own team. But he's not, so I will instead. I thought when they had beaten Phoenix, I was like, oh, great. You've dealt with the best big man you will likely on the offensive side of the ball that you will likely play for the remainder of the playoffs, unless they bumped into Bam in the finals, which obviously now we know, not a thing. I was like, oh yeah, dude, Kevon Looney, not the offensive center, obviously, that DeAndre Ayton is. And then the finals, if you bump into a Boston, again, Robert Williams, fantastic defender, not the best offensive center in the league, and that's okay. So I was like, look, you're not going to really struggle. And then Kevon Looney was just better than DeAndre Ayton. Like, what the hell was that? The guy, look, there was a legitimate claim that he should have got the Western Conference Finals MVP. There is a legitimate argument to be made. Like, I'm not being an ass. Like, I love Steph, and he deserves it, kind of, but Kevon Looney kind of deserved it too.
Yeah. Steph, if Steph had been more dominant in some of those games, it would have been.
He just didn't have to be, right?
Yeah,
he just didn't have to be.
Yeah, now with obviously with Poole and the other factors of
Game 5 Clay apparently is the thing now. It's not Game 6 Clay, ladies and gentlemen. Game 5 Clay is real too.
Yeah, he's turning on at the right time. But Kevon Looney definitely had a fair shot of winning MVP. And
which is just ridiculous to say.
Like, it was. Imagine if we had said that in our preseason predictions. That, you know, Kevon Looney would have a legitimate chance of being a Western Conference Finals MVP.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If any one of you guys had said that on the pod in the preseason, you would not be on the pod now. You'd be like, you know what? Sorry, you got to fuck off. Yeah, you clearly are a casual. Or less than a casual. I don't even know what you are. You're on drugs.
Like, even if Kays had said that, we've been like, okay, Kays has said some blasphemous
things.
He
said some outlandish things, definitely. But
this one would have been absolutely taking the cake.
Easily. That's not a top 3 or top 5 scenario. That is top 1, and it's runaway. But Kevon Looney was incredible. There's a good chance we see some version of that in the finals as well, because he's going to have Robert Williams, and Robert Williams is banged up from what we know. So there might be some Daniel Tice minutes in there, or Al Horford at center minutes, which, by the way, Al Horford's been an absolute revelation.
Yeah.
Bam Adebayo looked not good. And Bam Adebayo was a player that 1 year ago, if I'd said, hey, Al Horford, Bam Adebayo, what's going on? Anybody in their right mind would say, well, guess what? Someone's going to be someone's daddy, and it's not Al Horford.
Yeah.
Bam looked horrible in these Eastern Conference Finals, besides game 3
and
game 6 or game 7. He looked good.
Yeah.
Besides that, Bam Adebayo was not the Bam that we expected to see for sure.
Al Horford's a really interesting concept because this happened when the Celtics had played the Sixers, and Al Horford had owned Joel Embiid.
And that's why they signed him. That's why the Sixers were like, yo, fuck it, come join us.
Yeah, like, we don't want you guarding Embiid on any other team. We'd rather we have you on our team, so nobody can guard Joel. But Al Horford has done a really, really good job guarding big men throughout his career, and especially has shown in the playoffs. Unfortunately, throughout his career, had nothing to show for it until this year, where now, after 141 playoff games and a 15-year career, he finally gets to make the NBA Finals.
Yeah, listener, if you missed it, there was obviously, like us said, the 141 playoff games for Al Horford without making the NBA Finals was an NBA record. So, I mean, look, good for him to have been in 141 playoff games, but also now he's in the NBA Finals. So that record, I mean, he'll hold it, but he'll have gone to the finals. Whether he wins or loses is to be determined. But I think the greatest thing for Al Horford was his buddy Sam Presti gave him basically a whole calendar year off. He said when he got to Oklahoma City, he played a little bit, and then they were like, "Hey, you know what? For the next 10 months, relax, enjoy yourself, get your body right," and then packaged him and sent him right back to Boston and said, "Hey, he's good to go." He's obviously done this with Chris Paul. Now he's done this Al Horford, which obviously means Derek Favors is going to the finals next year with whatever team trades for him.
Right.
Obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, so yes, that's kind of the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. Now let's jump into the finals. We're going to do predictions, but before that, let's talk about, I guess X factors is the best way to go. We know Steph is good. We know Jason Tatum is good. We know Klay Thompson is going to be in and out of the series. Jordan Poole might be in and out of the series. We know Draymond's an incredible defender. On the other side, Jaylen Brown, obviously very good. Marcus Smart, and Robert Williams. There's a ton of high-end names that we can talk about. What I want to talk about are going to be the guys that matter and then also aren't, the top tier poster kids.
Right.
On Golden State side, is there an X factor? And obviously it can be a Jordan Poole, it can be a Klay Thompson, but is there an X factor that sticks out to you that you're like, I think this guy is going to matter more than we initially think? And your answer might be the same as mine, by the way.
Yeah. I think I'm leaning Andrew Wiggins here.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Andrew, look, listener, I am not an Andrew Wiggins fan. I am not happy to say that he is the X factor for the Golden State Warriors. And now all of a sudden I will let you finish, but I'm not happy about this.
Yeah. When you play the offense that Golden State has with the movement, the split cuts, they're moving, they're running off screens, the shooters will get the most attention, right? The switching off of Steph, Klay, and now Jordan Poole, who is very well integrated into that system, that's where a lot of your attention defensively will go. When Golden State played Houston 2017, 2018, the only way that Houston was able to stay in that series.
It's always back to Houston, isn't it, with you?
I'm wearing the shirt because I'm not in my own background and I have the Rockets. I wore the shirt for this reason.
Yeah. He's like, I'm just going to somehow still rep this bum ass team.
Yeah. So listener, if you're listening, I'm wearing a Rockets t-shirt. It's a Russell Westbrook t-shirt, which is funny.
It is.
You can see the 0 on the back. So
it's like you want to torture me without me. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well played. Fair play.
This is a welcome home to Atlanta present for you.
It sure as hell is. Yeah. Well, fair play.
So in 2017, 2018, when the Rockets unfortunately lost that series in tragic fashion, I'm still scarred.
Historically tragic fashion.
Yes, unfortunately.
Listener, they missed 27 threes in a row.
Yeah, stop, bro. We know.
I'm just making sure the listener is aware of what we're referring to.
Yeah, I know.
It's plot. Look, listener, you might not have known. Now you do.
Yeah, fair enough. When Golden State and
Houston, you know the Rockets missed 27 threes?
No, bro, I had no idea. It's only haunted me every single day of my life for the last 7 years.
It's okay. James Harden's apparently haunted by it too.
Yeah, clearly.
My man eats 27 million calories a day now.
Yeah, all them honey buns, bro.
Honey buns are good.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I could kind of go for a honey bun right now.
Anyways, back to that series.
Andrew Wiggins.
So when they played in that series, because of the Rockets' ability to switch, they really depended on Kevin Durant and his ability to score isolation basketball. So what Boston is going to try to do is they're going to put Wiggins in that same position. They're going to cover up those three guys and be like, look, Andrew Wiggins, go ahead. If you want to take, Grant Williams one-on-one, be my guest. If you want to score 30 on us with Grant Williams and Derek White guarding you.
Wiggins scoring 30.
That's what I'm saying. Like it could happen.
Sure.
It could happen one of the games. But that's my point. That's how Boston's going to approach this series is they're going to contain those guys as much as they can by frenetically switching, because that's how Boston plays defense. And that's the only way you can stop Golden State from scoring. Because Golden State, they've played now Denver, Memphis, and now Dallas in their playoffs so far. And neither of those three teams are switch heavy teams. They all play drop coverage. And Dallas tried.
Dallas definitely tried
at the end. They definitely
tried.
Jason Kidd made that adjustment, but I think it was a little bit too late, and they didn't have the personnel.
I think it's more not the lateness. The personnel was the issue.
Yeah,
and then Boston clearly has the personnel.
Yeah,
clearly.
Yeah. Now between Tatum, Smart, Brown, Grant Williams, even Al Horford can stay with some of the perimeter guys.
Yeah. Or at least put up a challenge. And he's got Robert Williams to back him, so it's not like
he's
there.
And you got Derek White off the bench. Peyton Pritchard's going to get some minutes to come chase some of those guys around for a little bit, whatever he can do. But it's going to be on Andrew Wiggins to create and make his open shots, because they're out of those four guys between Steph, Klay, Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins. Who do you want shooting the ball?
No, for sure. I'm going to go the other way, actually. So Andrew Wiggins is also my X factor, but it's actually not for the offense. The one thing we've seen in these playoffs is Andrew Wiggins has basically guarded the best player on the opposing team, besides obviously Jokic. He guarded Ja for many possessions.
Right.
And when Ja went out, he guarded your buddy Dylan Brooks, who took the most shots on that team for many possessions.
Fuck Dylan Brooks. That's why they lost.
Fair enough, but he did take the most shots. He was the most offensive producing or attempting to produce player on Memphis when Ja was out, and Andrew Wiggins was opposing him. He was the guard, right? The guy guarding him. And then Andrew Wiggins also guarded Luka. I'm not by any means saying that he stopped or even slowed down the guy like Luka or even Ja, but he was in front of him. He played decent defense,
right.
And he's going to be the guy, I assume, that's going to guard Jason Tatum most possessions, if not basically every possession of every game of these NBA finals.
Yeah.
And so the Boston Celtics will win if Jason Tatum plays well, immensely well, right? Finals MVP well.
Right.
And if Andrew Wiggins is the guy guarding him, I feel pretty okay about that. Not that he's going to stop Jason Tatum, but Jason Tatum might not going to have a couple of 40-point nights like he may have otherwise done if you put the likes of really anybody else on Golden State on him. Draymond is a fantastic defender. He cannot keep up with Jason Tatum anymore. He will serve as a help defender in this series, which is, I think, great news for Golden State, because that's kind of where they want him. They want him as a rover, as a free safety, and he'll be able to do that in this exact series. Klay Thompson, unfortunately, is not the all-star defender or all NBA defender that he was prior to his injuries. So he's likely going to get the Jaylen Brown assignment, which is not an easy one. But as we've learned in these playoffs, Jaylen Brown somehow forgot how to dribble a basketball. And so he's not going by anyone.
Yeah.
And so Klay Thompson can play good enough defense to make the ball hard to dribble, because he already can't do that. So that's why Andrew Wiggins is my X factor. It's actually less for the offense and more for the defense. And that's where I think Andrew Wiggins will be most beneficial. I don't think there is a world in which the Boston Celtics, regardless of the personnel, can stop 2 out of 3 of Steph, Poole, and Klay on a night in, night out basis. There will be games where they do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there will be a consistency in stopping 2 out of those 3 guys. They will have to pick their poison. And right now, the way all 3 of those guys, look, Klay was a question mark. He kind of showed us last series in game 5 when he closed it out, right?
Yeah.
Klay looks, I wouldn't say back, but as close to back as he's been since coming back this season.
He's feeling it. And it's definitely tough to, obviously, coming off 2 years of not playing basketball and then being able to turn it on mid-season, recover, get your feet back under you, and then to come out in a playoffs and a high intensity playoffs and be able to perform night in and night out. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. And so he's definitely feeling his way back and feeling his rhythm back into his shot. We've seen a lot of rush shots from Klay throughout after his return, and even in these playoffs, where he's trying to get his rhythm back and really get a flow for the game. But it's coming back, and if he puts it together, especially in these finals will be over real quick.
Oh, without a doubt. And so then the next question then goes, all right, flip the script. Boston, who is their X factor?
I think we saw this in a little bit of the Miami series, but Derek White had that explosive game where he, came off the bench. I think had 22 or 23 points off the bench, played terrific defense, stayed in front of all of his guys, knocked down his open threes. And it's a similar concept with Andrew Wiggins, right? Like when you've got Tatum, Brown, and Smart and, Derek White out there, you're going to funnel the shots to Derek White. If anybody you're going to leave open, it's going to be him. Mm-hmm, right. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that, it's up to Derek White to be a consistent knockdown 3-point shooter. He hasn't really done that in his career. Right. So throughout this season he's put up he's averaged 3 attempts from 3 this year and shot 28%. Right. Golden State is happily going to live with that.
Oh yeah. They want get Derek White shooting 28% in this NBA finals, I think they'll be ecstatic.
Right. So Derek White has shown some flashes and he's getting more comfortable again, mid-season acquisition over to the trade deadline. Right. Yeah. Great pickup for Boston. He's been wonderful for them. And I think this is going to be the time where he really earns that trade. And now is the time to shine. It's the NBA finals. You're going to get opportunity. Ime Udoka is a big fan of him. They
give up a lot. They give up a lot to get him, so they have to.
Yeah, and so he's got to perform, and he's got good opportunity to. So he just got to knock down his open shots and play good defense, and he could be a big piece in helping Boston get over the hump and beating Golden State.
Well, I'm happy we don't have the same X factor for Boston. I will say that mine is Grant Williams, and it's for a very specific reason. Grant Williams showed us, at least in the Milwaukee series, less so in the Miami series, believe it or not, he's a very good 3-point shooter and a bowling ball of a defender. So then the question goes, well, in all likelihood, who's going to be guarding Grant Williams? Draymond Green is probably going to be the guy that's on that matchup most of the time when Grant Williams is going to be playing minutes. He's not a starter. We know this, right?
Yeah.
And my point to this is what I said earlier. Draymond Green is going to be a free safety. He's going to be moving around. If Jason Tatum has the ball and he's moving, he's going to probably go help defense there. Or if Jaylen Brown's got the ball, he's likely going to go help defense there, which means there's a good chance Grant Williams is going to have a lot of open looks. And then the question becomes, can he knock them down?
Yeah.
And if he does knock them down like he did in the Milwaukee series, Boston's going to have a guy that they don't necessarily expect to be a legitimate, consistent contributor contributing. And that's all you need in the NBA Finals. Jason Tatum is going to be good. Jaylen Brown is going to be good. Marcus Smart is going to be what Marcus Smart is, which, by the way, this season has been pretty fucking good.
Right.
If you get a fourth guy who is an offensive juggernaut who's shooting 38, 40%, which, by the way, he shot 42% on 40% on 4 attempts from 3 in the NBA playoffs so far. If you get that guy, you're going to be pretty happy with that scenario. And so Grant Williams is my X factor. And by the way, he's a fantastic defender, as we already know too.
Right.
He's a body, he picks up fouls, he's very aggressive, and coming off screens, which the Warriors like to do a lot, he will be more than happy to give an extra bump to the likes of Steph Curry or Clay or Poole or whoever else it may be coming off a screen. So Grant Williams is my X factor, and he more on the offensive side than on the defensive, as opposed to Andrew Wiggins. For me, I hate the Boston Celtics. I also hate how exciting I believe this series will be of basketball. Yeah. It will be fun from a basketball standpoint. It's going to be fun to watch, I think. And I think you agree. And I know Shaban and Kays, who are not here today, also agree, listeners. So we're going to jump into, are we comfortable doing predictions?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into predictions. Shaban, we'll do predictions and finals MVP, okay? Because we have those picks. So Shaban has the Warriors in 6, and he's got Draymond Green being the finals MVP.
Yeah.
Kays has the Warriors in 5. Is that right?
Yes.
And he's got Stephen Curry as the finals MVP.
Yeah.
Which way are you going on that scenario?
I'm going Warriors in 6 as well. I'm taking a little piece from both of them. I'm going Warriors in 6, and I've got Stephen Curry as the MVP.
Okay. And I'm listening, this is a boring podcast. I apologize. I'm also going Warriors in 6, and there is no world in which the Warriors win another NBA Finals and Steph Curry still does not get a finals MVP. They will make sure he gets it, even if he does. He will likely deserve it. I'm saying that. But even if he doesn't deserve it, they will find a way to get it to him because he deserves one and he now needs one.
Yeah, I agree, but I think it'd be so funny. It'd be so funny if he doesn't win one.
Jordan Poole gets it or something.
Jordan Poole or Draymond. I think Draymond is also like it's a possible pick.
I just don't think Draymond. So the way the finals MVP works is there's some fan vote involved, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And then media vote for the most part. It's rare that Draymond is going to have the stats, the literal on paper stats that people look for, that will give him enough votes to get the finals MVP. He will likely be a player that deserves it, but people are stat lookers. They like to look at the box score. They like to see what he did or what he didn't do.
Agreed.
And he's going to have like 7, 7, 7 and 2 blocks and 2 steals. That's like Draymond's stat sheet.
Yeah. The other reason that I think Steph will win it, the precursor to this, but one thing that I've been seeing is because of that, this will now be the Warriors' potential 4th championship to win. The conversation of Steph Curry versus LeBron James, and in the argument that if they were to win, they're going to put Steph.
It's not a conversation.
I agree.
Okay,
I agree. First of all,
cool.
This is not a conversation.
I like to make sure that we agree on this because this is.
No.
I've heard this as well. I've seen it out there, and I think it's absolutely nonsense.
There is no world that even if Steph Curry wins this 4th title and wins the Finals MVP, he is still not in the same league as LeBron James. And
by the way, that's not a knock to Steph. I hate that it feels like we're knocking Steph.
Yeah,
because that's not what he's a top 12 basketball player. If I did my list, probably of all time, right? Yeah. But like LeBron is top 2.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like it's unlikely Steph Curry goes from 12 to 2 because they won this finals and he won the finals MVP.
Right.
That's probably not going to happen.
So that's my only thing. Also, I just think it'd be really, really funny if Steph were to not win a finals MVP.
Look, it would be funny. Just I don't think there's a world in which it happens, assuming they win the finals.
Agreed.
But you're right. It would be very. They give it to Kevin Looney. That would be fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I would enjoy that.
You get the Western Conference Finals one. You take that new trophy, but we're gonna give the finals MVP to somebody else.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, those are our picks for the NBA Finals. Listener, if you want to turn this off and call it a day, I don't blame you. But us and I are going to do a fun little activity while we still have you. What we wanted to do was to see where every player in these 2 rosters kind of fall. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do like a fantasy style draft of these 2 rosters. We're only going to pick 5 players each, snake draft style. And I think that'll kind of give us the hierarchy of the players that we're looking at. We're going to rank them basically by doing a little draft. I think it's more fun. So do you want the first pick or do you want second and third pick?
Let's go. I'll go with the first pick.
You'll go first pick.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of know who you're taking. Go ahead.
It's an easy pick. I'm gonna go Steph Curry is the best player in
What?
the series.
He's not even the Finals MVP.
Yeah, I know, but he's still the best player.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, you've got Steph. I will definitely be taking. I will take Jason Tatum.
This is where it gets tricky.
There's two. There's only two players on my mind, listener.
Yes.
And he will take the other one that I don't take. So I can talk. I can speak out loud. I'm not giving away any information. For me, it's between Jordan Poole and Draymond Green, and it's not for you.
I think it's between Jaylen Brown and Draymond.
Interesting. Ooh, well, let's talk it out. So Draymond, we agree, should be in this conversation.
Yes.
You think Jaylen Brown. I think Jordan Poole. And the only difference why is I think there's a world in which Jordan Poole on any given night is the best player on the Warriors and they win. Yeah. I'm less convinced, not saying it's not possible, definitely is. I'm less convinced there's a world in which Jaylen Brown is the best player on the Celtics on a given night and they win in the NBA Finals. That's why I'm saying I like Jordan Poole. Not that I don't actually think he's a better player per se.
Right.
But Jordan Poole has a 50-point game in him any given time. I'm not convinced Jaylen Brown is that guy. He was last year and the year before. I feel like he's kind of taken a step back this year. Look, the guy can't dribble, and that is not a criticism we had of him 12 months ago.
Right. I think that Jordan Poole also gets the benefit of the doubt there because of that he's now the third option in that offense versus Jaylen Brown is a diehard for sure second, right?
Is he the third option in the offense?
Jordan Poole? Yeah.
No, I disagree. Jordan Poole has now pretty cemented himself as the second option.
I think when Steph, Clay, and Jordan Poole are on the court, that they are still looking for Clay first.
I disagree. I just disagree. Yeah, I just simply disagree. I think that the Warriors know at this point that Clay is still not Clay yet, and they have treated it with like kid gloves almost, right? They're like, hey, we'll get Clay shots. We'll make sure Clay's open. We'll get him off screens and rolls. But if we need to create offense, I'm going to give the ball to Jordan Poole, and the ball is in his hands when Steph Curry is not playing. Remember, there was a time in the playoffs where Steph Curry is coming off the bench, Jordan Poole is starting because they're comfortable to do that. Right. That is not a situation in which most teams would be okay to do, but they were because Jordan Poole was that good. Yeah. He made a case for that to be reality. Remember, there was a point in the NBA season towards the end of the regular season where those three guys before the Steph Curry injury, which we need to talk about, funny enough. I'm glad you pointed it out. I'm glad I remember now. But there was a point where they played together and they were like, maybe they should bench Clay. Yeah. Right. You remember this?
Yeah.
For Jordan Poole. That's why I think Jordan Poole is still on a night in, night out basis, still the second guy.
So adding to my argument, I looked up the shot attempts that in these playoffs of like who's taking the most shots for the Warriors. And obviously Steph Curry is number one, is averaging 19 shots a game. Number two is Clay at 17. Then third is Andrew Wiggins, close to 13. And then Jordan Poole is fourth at 12 shots a game. Mm-hmm. So there's a 5-shot difference between both of them. And the only minutes difference.
I think the Dallas series is why the discrepancy is there, because Jordan Poole, I don't think, had the best series against Dallas comparative to Clay. Clay definitely looked better.
The other thing too is you flip it to the other side, the defensive side. Okay. Jaylen Brown is a better defender than Jordan Poole, which is why
I agree with that.
Which is why I'm taking him. If I'm doing a fantasy draft and I'm picking
what do you mean if we are doing one? What, it's not your pick though, it's mine.
In our fantasy draft, if I had your pick,
yes,
then if I'm debating between Jaylen Brown and Jordan Poole, I'm going to pick Jaylen Brown because of the two-way ability that he has.
Okay, so I want to ask, so I've got pick 2 and 3. Does that mean you have 4 and 5, or do you just have 4 and then I have 5?
I think we'll
just 1 and 1 it after that. All right, cool. So then in that case, I'll take Draymond for sure.
Okay.
So I've got Jason Tatum and I've got Draymond Green. Now the pick comes to you.
I'm taking Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen.
And I still get Jordan Poole. I'm still happy.
Yeah,
you get your. I got Jason Tatum, Jordan Poole, and Draymond Green. I'm a happy camper right now. Fair. My team looks pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
And you've got Steph and you've got Jaylen Brown, which is solid. And now it's your pick. Now it gets hard. Now things get Kevon Looney. Come on, now's your chance. Take Kevon Looney.
I think I gotta go Marcus Smart here.
Okay, so I think you made a big mistake, but I'll explain in a second. No, you've already picked. You can't go back now. No. But I think you made a big mistake here.
Yeah, I mean,
based on the team I'm constructing, I think you've made a mistake.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Marcus Smart's a good pick, but go ahead.
Yeah, the debate was between Marcus Smart and Clay.
Okay, still not. Yeah, that wasn't even what I was thinking, but cool.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm very happy with my team.
Okay.
We'll go.
Yeah, so I think with Marcus, his playmaking ability has really shown, and he's now the primary point guard of that team.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and Tatum obviously has grown in his playmaking abilities, but they need Tatum to be a scorer first, and then playmaker second. But on the flip side, if I don't know if the Warriors will do this, but they could double team Jason Tatum. I mean, Miami started doing it, right? They started trapping him off of pick and rolls. So making somebody else make a play. And that's where somebody like Marcus comes into play, where he makes the right play. Some of those passes that, Tatum and Smart made in this Eastern Conference series were really astounding to me. Like, that I did not expect in their game, and just going to show how much they've grown in their NBA careers. And that's why they're here at this point, is because of their ability to make those plays and not just be just a defender or just a scorer in the case of Tatum.
No, I agree. Marcus Smart has turned himself into the primary creator as well as the third creator, and Jason Tatum is squarely at second, right?
Yeah.
It's the ball is, hey, Marcus, create something. If you can't, Jason creates something. And then if you can't, go right back to Marcus, because that's really how good he's been this NBA season. He's become the point guard that they've been vying for years now.
Right.
And it took, I think, a lot of soul searching for him to come to that conclusion, but he did do it. And it's all the credit in the world to him. You've taken Marcus Smart. I'm going to go with, you made me question my pick. I'm going Robert Williams. Because that's who I want. Okay. And that's the mistake I thought you made. Because he is unquestionably the best big man in this series. But there's like two, right? And that's obviously classifying Draymond as a power forward.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm very comfortable with taking Robert Williams, because Robert Williams with Draymond Green would be just ridiculous. Good luck scoring the basketball.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I agree with you. And
I've got Tatum and Poole.
I understand where you're coming from. The only hesitation that I have with Robert Williams is his injury.
Sure, he's fine. This is a fantasy draft. He's fine.
Okay.
I have fantasized that he is fine.
Okay. All right. Well, in reality, he is playing with
fuck you.
He's playing with some knee soreness after suffering a bone bruise, and I believe it was game 3 against Milwaukee.
My man has bad knees, bro.
Yeah,
he had a meniscus
surgery. Yeah, and then a bone bruise, and then now he's got some knee soreness, and he missed a couple of games, dealing with that injury. And the rest will do them well. They now get 3 days off.
Yeah, without a doubt.
But that's still a question mark, right? For the Boston side is the Robert Williams injury, seeing how he comes off. Marcus Smart's been banged up. He's got some shoulder, ankles. Although at this point, everybody's banged up. It's the playoffs. But the reason that they missed games, Smart had to miss games because of his injuries. So that's something to look at for that side. And I guess we can address the Warriors injuries as well while we're doing this. Is Gary Payton. When we're talking about Andrew Wiggins being a defensive X factor, Gary Payton, I think we forget about Gary Payton, how good he was before he got injured.
I mean this absolutely respectfully. I think NBA nerds are a little overvaluing Gary Payton's actual value based on the amount of minutes I really think he would have gotten in this last series against the Mavericks. And really, more importantly, this series here. Gary Payton is the best defender on that basketball team, not named Draymond Green. Right. I absolutely agree with that.
Right.
But is Gary Payton really playing more than 12, 15 minutes in a basketball game? It's very unlikely that is the reality. He is not an offensive juggernaut. He had one good offensive game,
right,
which he deserves all the credit in the world for. And I think he's a fantastic basketball player. But in the playoffs, we shorten our rotations to maybe 7 guys.
Yeah.
8 is an anomaly beyond belief. I mean, if you just look at the Boston Celtics box minutes, what are we looking at? 2, 4, 6, 7 guys. The Peyton Pritchard gets 13 minutes a game.
Yeah.
That's probably where Gary Payton would have been if that's the reality in which he would be healthy.
That makes
so
sense.
I think he's a good player. I think he's a fantastic defender. I don't want to overvalue his contribution on the basketball court because he would only be on the court for such little amounts of time.
Right.
And so just listener for a recap here. The first pick obviously went Steph Curry. That's what Asad took. I then took Tatum and Draymond Green.
Mm-hmm.
You then took
Jaylen Brown. I've got
Jordan Poole, and then now Klay Thompson.
I took Marcus
Smart. I took Robert Williams. Now it is your pick again. I'm sorry, I absolutely bummed that. Anyway, you've got the next pick, and this is your second to last pick.
This is
your last pick. No, second last. This is your second last.
I
pick.
have 3 players. You have 4.
Yes. You have second last.
I have 8. You'll have 9, and then I'll have 10.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate that, Asad.
Good.
Eat a dick, man. I'm sorry, dude. Listener, by the time we're recording this, it's past midnight. Come on, cut me some slack. Yeah. I'm trying. I'm doing the best I can.
It's late for Saif. He's old. Cut him some slack.
Oh, pain. I think you're older than me mentally at this point in time. I feel young. I'm just
good.
tired.
I'm happy for you, man.
Fuck you.
All right. At 8.
Yes.
I think now is the time.
No, it's not. Don't do it.
I'm going to MVP Kevon Looney here.
You have to.
Yeah,
You
I
have to.
I need a big to match Robert Williams and between Kevon Looney and Al Horford. I'm gonna go. Looney's just been really, really good, and it's not only like the defense and the rebounding; it's the mid range shot and the playmaking from
him. He's been surprisingly good. Yeah, he's been
on both of those fronts. There was one play, I think it was either the Mavs series or the Grizzlies series. I can't remember, but they inbounded the ball to him. He was like, I think, a foot inside the 3-point line, shot clock winding down, and he let it fly. Like, no hesitation, just let it rip, swish. Like, good fundamentals. Like, I mean, he's an NBA player. Like, he can make that shot. Most NBA players can make that shot.
I want to remind you, I know you're getting excited, but we are talking about Kevon Looney, so let's keep the analysis at a reasonable time limit on Kevon Looney. Respectfully, as much as Kays would advocate for his Finals MVP standing, yes. I don't think he'll be winning that.
So, but my point is that you can pass him the ball if he's open at by the free throw line, by the elbow, and you're comfortable with him taking that shot. Definitely. If you're the Warriors, and he can make that, and he's shown that he can make that. And then on top of that, obviously Draymond is the offensive fulcrum of that team. You're running all your actions. Kevon Looney is setting screens, but Kevon Looney can roll. He can, obviously when he's open, get him underneath, he can get a dunk, but he's good at making that next pass as well. And Draymond will get that hockey assist through Kevon Looney.
I like it. And I like the terminology.
Yeah. And Kevon has shown the ability to do that, which adds another dimension to this Warriors team that's already got all this movement. And now when you add another playmaker and a guy who can make these reads, that's not Steph or Draymond, and you have a guy like Kevon Looney who's making them, that makes you really fucking hard to guard.
I definitely agree. I think the biggest thing that Kevon Looney has brought to the playoffs is his offensive rebounding. It's something the Dallas Mavericks have struggled with. It's something he did well against even the Memphis Grizzlies. Kevon Looney has just become more aggressive on the glass.
Yeah.
And it's worked. That's the position that if we would take a poll of 100 people, what's the weakest position on the Warriors? It would always have been center.
Yeah.
And it still is, but it's not a net negative anymore. No. He's been good. He's been genuinely reliable.
Right.
Which is a turn of events, I have to say.
Yeah.
With my last pick, look, I've got Poole and I've got Tatum and I've got Draymond and Robert Williams. I hate it, but I'm taking Andrew Wiggins.
Okay.
Like you said, good on offense, good on defense.
Yeah.
I can't ask for a lot more. I've got my two firecrackers in Tatum and Poole. They're going to score. They're going to be the fulcrum of my offense. And on defense, I've got basically 4.5 guys who know how to play good defense.
Yeah.
I'm very happy with that team. I'll walk away quite happy. And I'll probably win these NBA finals.
Yep. And then
you said, yep. Yeah, I agree.
The last at 10, I've got to take Klay Thompson.
Yeah, sure, of course, yeah.
Like the guy can go off for 60 points with no matter how.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I already thought you took Klay, which is why I didn't take Klay. I'm a little mad now because I in my mind I thought you, honest to God, I thought you were gonna go Klay and then Looney. So in my mind, I thought you'd already pick Klay. I fucked up.
At that point, I was just building the Warriors.
Yeah, no, I fucked up.
But now you took Andrew Wiggins.
I should have taken Klay. That was
your team would have been
whatever. My defense is better for it.
Yeah,
Wiggins is a better defender than Klay right now.
Yeah.
Listen, that may change. Right now, that's the case.
I got the Splash Brothers. So how are you going to really count out the Splash Brothers? I got Steph and Klay on the same team.
I've got the guy who texts Kobe.
Okay.
Yeah, I got the guy who texts Kobe in my team and then apparently texts the world about. I wanted to ask, okay, listener, just to conclude, can you tell them your 5 and then I will tell them my 5 and then we'll move on to the other things.
So I guess by position, we'll have Steph Curry, then Marcus Smart, then Klay Thompson, then Jaylen Brown as my power forward.
Yeah, you can't feel good about that.
And yeah, well, the guy can't dribble, so he doesn't need to dribble when he's a power forward, right?
Well, good. I'm glad he's a great spot up shooter. Oh, wait, he's really not the best spot up shooter either. Whatever, fine.
And then I got Kevon Looney holding it down.
Yeah, paint. Cool. And listener, as you already know, I've got Jordan Poole and I've got Wiggs. I've got Jason Tatum, Draymond Green, and then I've got Robert Williams. I'm pretty happy with my team. Although I do find it interesting how we built the teams because you're definitely offense and I'm definitely defense.
Yeah.
Which is fun. But yeah, okay. So the other thing was, listener, after the game last night, Jason Tatum, obviously he went out and posted on Instagram, congratulating his teammates and celebrating his success as he should. One of the things he posted was a screenshot of a picture that, of his text message or his iMessage.
Yeah.
And he texted, Kobe Bryant's number and he said, I got you today. Right. And it's been very interesting, the reactions from the NBA Twitter, the NBA Reddit, just the NBA world on this one thing. By the way, listener, to give you some context, he posted on Instagram, obviously you could post multiple pictures. He posted 10 pictures This was the 10th in the series of, you have to scroll to get, it wasn't like, hey, this is what I did today, be proud. Like,
Yeah.
he's getting a lot of that's really cringe, that's really asking for attention worthiness. And I definitely see where people are coming from. I just don't have a problem with it. I don't see, look, I'm never going to get mad at an NBA player connecting with someone or something that they find meaningful. And if this is something that meant something to Jason Tatum, that's cool. I think it's awesome. I think it would have been more fun or more meaningful if Kobe Bryant's late, or the late Kobe Bryant's wife, Vanessa, was like, oh, Jason Tatum texted, and that came out that way, right?
Yeah.
But I don't actually care that much about this. Is not a newsworthy story. And the only reason we're talking about it is because everybody else seems to want to talk about it. I think it's kind of cool that he connects with Kobe this way. And in my mind, he's a Laker by extension, even though fuck the Celtics, but Jason Tatum, in another world, in an alternate universe, he is a Laker.
It's possible, definitely.
And maybe in this universe, he's a Laker one day.
Okay, now
Maybe,
he's just Safe is just trying to build himself, give him this false sense of hope, and now he has to deal with Russell Westbrook for another year. So
look, I like Russ. I don't have a problem with Russ.
Yeah.
Off the court, on the court,
yeah,
Eh.
that's for the off season. We'll
Eh.
have a Russell Westbrook session. In
No,
the
we
offseason.
won't. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I know you guys don't, but Shaban and I will. So
I don't wanna-
you guys will be
I'm
there
gonna,
for that.
I'm gonna take that week off. I'm gonna take a little siesta for myself.
I don't have a problem with it either. In Game 7, Jason Tatum usually wears an armband on his left arm. Usually that's a white or whatever color. It has the number 0.
Green or something. Yeah.
Yeah. This for Game 7, it was the purple 24.
Yeah, it was a Laker color thing, which for any Celtic in human history, that would have been blasphemy. But Tatum was like, no, this is my thing.
I don't have any issue with it.
I think it's great.
Yeah. Tatum has
Fuck the
always
Celtics.
Tatum has always idolized Kobe Bryant and the Mamba mentality, and to me, that's just a tribute to his idol. And he made it to that stage, persevering when a lot of people doubted him and doubted that the entire Celtics team this season, right?
Absolutely.
You know, like in December and January, we were talking about the Celtics, they should blow it up.
Mm-hmm.
People were criticizing Ime Udoka for his performance and being a rookie head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And the drastic turnaround they've had, you know, like that's not easy, especially not in this league where this is the most talented NBA we've seen in the history of the game, especially offensively, right? There's so many great players and great scorers and great teams in this league. And for the Celtics to be able to do what they did and get to this stage is phenomenal. And if Tatum wants to, you know, attribute that and, you know, celebrate that and do what he needs to do, and if that's whether wearing a Kobe armband or texting Kobe, doing whatever it is, then go for it, dude. You're
a grown ass man.
Yeah, you're not just
grown
an NBA,
up.
yeah, you're not just an NBA player. You're a person. Sometimes I feel like it's hard to differentiate that, or when we look at these players in such a certain light.
Yeah.
Not even saying like we as the NBA community.
Sure.
You know, you look at these guys and, you know, they're terrific athletes, but they're people. They have goals and idols and aspirations. And that for Jason Tatum, that was his way of showing that and showing that recognition and that respect and the admiration and love that he has for his idol. I don't know why people would shit on that. I find that absolutely appalling. I don't know why this is a topic.
I agree with you. I didn't want to talk about it. The only reason why I had any interest in talking about it is because I actually genuinely wanted to know your thoughts on it, Asad. And if Gaze was here, if Shaban was here, I would want to know their thoughts as well. Listener, I want to know your thoughts, because I think it's very reasonable to have different opinions on this type of thing. But I want to be able to get a reasonable defense. I don't want to be like, oh, it's cringy. Why?
Yeah.
Why? That's his fucking hero. You know? If I had Kobe Bryant's number, I would text it every day. I think I would. Yeah. But anyway, so listener, that's the NBA Finals preview. And I don't really know when we'll speak to you next. We might come in between because we have a pretty good amount of time between games. So that might be worth something that we'll do.
Yeah.
But let's see how game 1 goes. Look, one piece of advice, listener, I have for you. You, listener, have been watching basketball for more than one season, and you are not a 9-year-old child who's just now begun watching the NBA. Or and if you are, then please listen to this. This is an advice for you. Don't overreact to game 1. No matter what you see, no matter what happens, no matter who wins or who loses, by how many, don't overreact to game 1. The series doesn't start until the home team loses. And that's kind of how every NBA Finals goes, unless you're like the Lakers and the Orlando Magic circa 2009, in which you were fucked from the start. Besides that, the NBA Finals, this will be fun. These two teams are good, and they probably deserve to be here, even with all the shenanigans of the NBA season. This will be a fun one. I do think, dare I say it, I think this will be more fun than last year's NBA Finals. with the Suns and the Bucks.
Yeah, I think so too. Just because of one, obviously Steph Curry and the Warriors
There's more fun.
are highlight reel basketball. They just the way they play basketball, they've changed the game. They bring in more ratings for a reason.
The way the Suns play, the Warriors do exactly that, but better and more fun.
Right.
And more likable. No offense, more likable personalities as well.
Yeah.
Which helps.
This league has definitely shifted into a 3-point shooting league, and the Warriors have two of arguably the top 5 3-point shooters of all time. So
yeah, without a doubt. Finals MVP will be an interesting one. I don't see a world. Okay, so we all picked the Warriors, so we didn't even talk about the Celtics. So let's do that. If the Celtics were to win, it's Tatum, right? It has to be. It has to be Tatum.
Yeah.
And any other scenario would likely mean that Celtics didn't win, right? I mean, if anybody else is the best player, it's unlikely that they won. Is that fair?
Yeah. The only situation I see is if Tatum averages like 25 and Jaylen Brown averages 30. Like Jaylen Brown is the only other guy that I think
has the opportunity
to win Finals MVP. And if the Celtics were to win, for that to happen, Tatum can't slack off. Essentially, he has to be a very, very close second for that reality to even exist.
Yeah, no, I agree. And before we get out of here, now, listener, if you've made it this far, I can tell you my deep dark secret of why, besides my hate for the Celtics, I don't want them to win. It is 2022 and they are still milking 2008. We cannot have them win. We cannot have them win in 2022. They will milk this until 2044 for all I know. So we can't afford that. Let's get on the bandwagon of the Warriors. Let's get them to win. Let's call this a day. Yeah. Steph Curry and them winning has really never hurt any of us. Let's just remember.
Speak for yourself, bro.
Look. You guys just weren't good enough.
Yeah, I agree.
If you had a player who was like, hey, we've missed like 22 threes, I should probably just stop shooting them and do something different. Maybe it goes differently.
Statistically, that just doesn't happen. And that anomaly, like,
but it did to you.
Yes,
not to you. Sorry, to the Houston Rockets on the court that day.
It's unfortunate, and it happened. Also, like, that Warriors team was the greatest team of all time.
Yeah, I think that it's the hate for the Warriors was when Kevin Durant was there, and it's easy to like them again because they're likable again. They're not
code.
Yeah, exactly. They're not a fucking video game. Like, they're incredible and they're fun to watch and they're entertaining, and they're not head and shoulders the best team in the NBA by far, unquestionably. Period. Right.
What does worry me though, and I think it goes for both teams, is the turnovers. So both teams have shown that they can get sloppy with the ball.
It's gonna be fun.
Golden State plays really fast, but they have the tendencies that they turn the ball over real quick.
They're 28th in the league, by the way, on turnovers. They average the almost most turnovers in the NBA,
which is the way they play their offense, and not everybody can make the right read at the right times, and that's when it results in some of those turnovers. But Boston has shown the same thing too. Boston gets lazy. Boston almost blew that lead in Game 7 last night because of turnovers and bad decisions and being sloppy. So they both have the tendency to do that, and it's very simple. But whichever team turns the ball over the least will win this series.
Yeah, though whoever scores the most points wins the game.
Whoever puts the ball in the basket more times than the other team.
Yeah, whoever gets to 4 first wins the series. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Look, that was just a good moment for us, I think, to conclude the podcast. I think we've both gone loony. It is Kevon Looney.
Good one.
It's time to call it a night. Listener, thank you for listening to another episode of the Hoopologist podcast. I was going to do the thing again.
Yeah. At Hoopologist on Instagram and
Twitter.
and Twitter.
I forgot.
And the hoopologistpodcast.com on
Case is going to kill me.
Yeah, I figured. That's why we had to throw it in at the end, but it's okay.
It's not great. I don't think this matters. But anyway, listener, thank you for listening to another episode. We'll see you at some point in the NBA Finals, but enjoy. Bye.
See ya.